All right, everybody. So we are getting ready to kick this thing off with our first dynamic speaker of the day. He is the man, the myth, the legend. He is as I like to say, the credit messiah out there who has just an absolutely passion for helping entrepreneurs, business owners really take their businesses to a whole another level. And this guy, I've known him for golly 5, 6, 7 years now. And this guy has revolutionized the way that he delivers his content. He has, like I said, an amazing staff, a huge heart. And I've taught and been on a lot of webinars and been on a lot of classes. And I believe that what he is going to be providing with you guys today is the biggest secret out there and really should be required learning for all of us in high school these days. So please, please, please take notes. If you've heard Merrill before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But this guy is going to have stuff today that we can all implement immediately. And he will debunk so many myths. There is so much misconception and fake news when it comes to your credit and what you can to do to build it and what not to build it and things to do and things that can just shoot yourself in the foot. And we don't want to do that on a Sunday morning, everybody. So we are honored to have the man, the myth, the legend from Salt Lake City, Utah, join us today, Mr. Merrill Chandler from GetFundable.com. What's going on, Merrill?
Good morning. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, all. Hi, Linda. How are you? I'm thrilled to be here. This is awesome. I have been talking about the preparing for a recession and using your credit to actually leverage it, slingshot your fundability, your ability to get funding from lenders for a couple of years now. But I had no idea that a recession would even come upon us like a tsunami through like a health crisis. So we're going to talk about some great things about how to protect your business and how to protect your fundability, how to actually do the things that will inspire lenders to lend to you. So there are 3 secrets we're going to be talking today about every real estate investor and entrepreneurs and what you need to know to not just survive, but thrive in this market, right? And still not need, in fact, we're going to be talking about how manual underwriting is going to tank here for the next little bit, because no one is going to be wanting to take your financials or your documentation. Everything has got to be emailed, right? So these are some amazing, while they're very difficult times, I also have a great deal of experience in getting through these. I was right there with hundreds of my clients in 2008, and we're going to walk through the things that I learned there and how I can give those to you today. So ultimately, the goal for this training is you're going to learn why automatic underwriting trumps manual underwriting and how it'll help you get approvals now in this environment. You're going to discover why FICO matters to you, why it's important that you understand what they're measuring, and the borrower behaviors that you can implement that's going to actually trigger funding approvals. I call the funding game, or I relate the funding game to basketball or any sport. And I want you to be able to play this funding game like a pro. Now, all of us, real estate investors, note buyers, sometimes because we don't know the rules of the game, we resort to having to work with hard money and private money, etc. Now, I'm not against those lenders. I simply want to give you the opportunity to qualify for the lowest possible rates. Right now, there were teaser rates of barely over 3%. 3% in advertising. One of my clients came to me in advertising for credit lines, business lines of credit, and at just above 0 interest, prime +1, prime +2, maybe prime +3 is the going rate for lines of credit. And you're going to say, well, hold it, how am I going to get in 2008 everything contracted? Well, we're going to talk about how this is going to be different, especially if you implement the strategies we're going to talk about today. Now, when I went back to FICO world, one of our key questions was, how do I establish the funding approvals? How do we teach our students or our clients how to get funding approvals even during recession and crisis, right? So many of you know, I met with the CEO of FICO. I established relationships with the FICO score development teams, signed an NDA so that they could do a deep dive with me on what it took to be qualified by lenders, right? I met with these folks in 2016, and it was a revelation. It was amazing. But this last year in November, a funny thing happened on the way to FICO World 2019. Now, I've been to 3 of them, and at 2019, take a look at this slide, guys. They literally had an entire seminar on next session prepping. I got to tell you, it was a revelation. So, of course, in that, I spoke with Sally Taylor, who's the vice president of scores, and she introduced what FICO is calling the FSSI. It's the FICO Score Stress Indicator. Basically, the presentation was about which one of your borrowers, which one of your card holders, et cetera, are going to fail in the next recession, and which are going to prosper in the next recession. Notice the red circle where it says expand credit. If you have a robust profile, this is not a score. This does not apply. It does not matter necessarily that you have a 750 or 810 or even an 850 score. What it is it's a robust credit profile. And we're going to talk about what makes a robust credit profile in a moment. But what it does is notice that when your profile is more robust, they will expand your credit. New approvals or new credit limit increases if you have the right kind of profile, right? So one thing that this prepping session made very clear is that the decision for a lender to approve new credit or lower a limit or even close an account depends exclusively on key borrower behaviors both before and during the recession. We're going to talk about those. So now, of course, dominoes started to fall for me when I was in this session because we had been talking about it for a long time. But just like you're sitting here listening to this for the first time, I was sitting in my chair at FICO learning the exact same things for the first time. So as soon as we got back in 2019, as soon as we got back from FICO's conference, we began reinforcing our recession-proof strategies. Now, we call them borrower behaviors, and I'll talk about that in a little more in a moment. But we revisited which borrower behaviors were key or central to the discussion we had at FICO World. How lenders will decide to approve new accounts or close or lower limits. We established the recession-proof fundability plan protocols. Now, I'll talk about that in a second. That's a mouthful. And I continue to consult with the FICO team liaison. We were assigned years ago a liaison with FICO, and I continue to send questions and ask for updates in that relationship so that we can stay cutting edge and be able to deliver that to you, our students, and our clients. We also added additional hours of fundability training so that we could teach our advisors and sharpen their skills at adapting fundability to today's recession or the onslaught of maybe in a recession here shortly. We also have in place fundability techniques that exist nowhere else. You are not going to hear this information anywhere else. So my recession-proof system, it literally outlines all 40 borrower behaviors that FICO measures and indicates which are going to be fundable or which behaviors are going to create less fundability and therefore help you decide whether or not you're going to get more approvals or whether you may be subject to closures or a limit lowering. Each one of the pieces of my system that creates just impeccable fundability. And one of the things that was interesting about these is that as right now, we've been into this a month here in Utah. Oh, by the way, I got to tell you, not to add insult to injury, the COVID virus, of course, is thriving here in Utah. And we've had several days of earthquakes on top of that. So go figure. I don't know what caused all this to happen. It's been decades since we've had earthquakes. So now we've got the COVID virus and earthquakes to battle with. But while we're all sequestered in our homes, we've been training our team on how to augment what already are fundability proof formulas. These offer amazing results, right? Our students and clients, every day when we have a team meeting, there's our critical number is clients funded. And so we ask for new client fundings every single day. And for the last month, there hasn't been a single day where clients are not continuing to get additional fundings. And I'm going to tell you why here in just a second. We have the knowledge to and process to get you through this mess, right? So many people feel like they need to contract. And if you have to contract, excuse me, we're going to talk about being deliberate and intentional in the steps you make. I'll share some of those strategies with you in a moment. Now, automatic underwriting is key to these high funding approvals. And automatic underwriting is even more available during isolation and shelter in place, right? So the automatic limit increases come when you have done the right borrower behaviors. And these borrower behaviors go over 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and 24 months. And each one of those intervals carries amazing impact to your fundability, right? The longer you do a behavior, the more your lenders trust you with new money. More on that in a moment. So automatic limit increases, these don't require collateral, tax returns, or financials. So let me ask you a couple of questions. How many of you, and Scott, if you want to just shout out names or otherwise, I'm awesome with this. But how many of you have received a credit card or credit line approval in under 2 minutes? 30 seconds to 2 minutes. How many of you applied and literally the notice came up, ta-da, applied? Anybody? I want to see you raise your hands there. Joseph says yes. There we go. We got yes. RC says yes. Who else has gotten these times? Shams A.
Yes.
Etc. So I ask you next. That's automatic underwriting. Now, how many of you have received an email or a letter from your lender where they raised your where they raised your credit limit by 500, 1,000, 5,000, whatever it was? Give me those hands. Joseph, RC, anybody else?
Yeah.
Yep. Tita, Charles, Charlie, Stephen. Perfect. All right. That's automatic limit increases. Now, did they ask? Did they pull credit? Not likely. Did they ask for collateral, tax returns, or verify your income? Nope, they did not. Because the software is designed to approve you if you hit these borrower behavior metrics. More in a second. The point I'm trying to make is you're already experiencing the very things that will raise business lines of credit. You just don't know yet what it takes. And those things, those are growing in the middle of this recession, just like your personal credit cards, et cetera. So this process works for any borrower, regardless of market conditions, because lenders only make money when they lend. And so what is different about this market compared to 2008 is that the credit markets are not contracting. The government is literally infusing the capital markets as well as backstopping lenders so that they can grow lines, and offer credit to borrowers. But they're not going to offer this credit to just anybody. They've got to fit the model so that they're not at risk, right? So let me share with you an example of this exact thing. So this is Teresa. sweetheart of a woman, and she's in the note business, and this was her own story.
I did what you said to do, just a couple of things, and my score went up 30 points right away. And so within 6 months, my score went up over 100, and I was already in the 700. So my score's nearly perfect now. And they all line up, and I was able to achieve, a $500,000 unsecured line of credit my first time out of the gate with my first bank. So that really put me in a position to change the game that I'm executing to change my retirement strategy. And in fact, I actually used the line of credit recently for the first time, so it put me into $1 million asset that I would not have been able to secure. And in fact, the bank, I was putting all the documentation together, and they called me and said, okay, we're done. And I said, don't you want the paperwork? And they said, no, your credit score is fine. In fact, it's unusually fine, so we're just going to give it to you. We don't need any more paper, and it'll be an unsecured line of credit. So, $500,000, please.
No paperwork means no full doc, no tax returns. She didn't have to submit anything, and so take a look. This is what I've run into for years and years and years, right? I have found that over the last couple of decades, I found that most real estate investors, entrepreneurs believe that you need full documentation to get approved for top tier business credit, right? Otherwise, you have to kind of suffer with alternative lenders. Second thing most of you believe is that business credit is based on your business. This is not true. And so you focus on the wrong things to build what you think is business credit. Most entrepreneurs have no idea how business credit works. And so some of us have wasted time and money on credit card stacking or trying to build business credit when we found out that it actually was crushing the soul of our personal profile, because this business credit ended up on our personal credit profile. Anybody have, give me a show of hands, anybody know someone who's had something happen like that? It is discouraging when you've been led to believe that business credit was just a credit card you can use for your business, right? Now, most entrepreneurs also believe that recessions create reduction of limits or closure of accounts, that it's inevitable. And I'm here to tell you, this is not a thing if you do the right ways. Now, I've been doing this for over 25 years, and I've discovered all of this the hard way, invested tons of time and money into building this body of knowledge, right? Now you get to cheat, and you get the easy way to acquire inexpensive business loans and lines of credit. And the recession drives down the costs of credit. And so we all win, right? So much so that over the last 4 years, I've helped real estate investors and entrepreneurs just like you obtain 103 million plus in approvals. Now, I didn't break a sweat, and neither did my clients. So let's go over the three secrets, the three things you need to know to be able to prosper during this time and to avoid the soul crushing experience of getting your profile slammed by lenders, closing accounts, reducing limits, etc. All right. Secret number one: only businesses who have initiated doomsday protocols will be approved during recessions. Now that sounds like, right, everybody's heading for their bunkers, right? No. Doomsday protocols. Let me tell you what that means. If you've implemented doomsday protocols, lender automatic underwriting systems are literally designed to approve you. And these systems will go up to $1 million in the most inexpensive money available. All right, so let's take a look at what those doomsday protocols mean. First, this is what you've got to know. You need to know what your current business cash and disposable asset position. You got to know. Second, you need to know your business burn rate and how fast you're going to burn through your cash reserves at your current level. You also need to know what disposable assets you have, so that you can see about liquidating those in terms of property, notes, or otherwise, should occasion require. You got to know what your personal burn rate is and your personal burn rate if you cut out business expenses. Because the reason why we need to know all of this, guys, is that the most important asset you have is your borrower profile, your credit score, your credit report. We need to not have any new delinquencies during this period. So you need to know what is available so you can protect it. And here's why. If you prefer to keep an asset over making payments, then that is a 4 to 7 year a 4 to 7 year financial injury to your fundability. And lenders are going to wait to see, and you got to prove your track record all over again. So whatever we can do, we want to preserve your fundability. And this means discovering all of these issues, your cash, your disposable assets, your burn rate, and how to protect your personal profile if you were to cut out business expenses. Now, here's things, and here's the things you need to do. You need to audit every expense. Now, we have a habit, because I teach this. We have an audit every quarter to establish what are the services or the online programs. What are the things that we use and are mission critical, and what are the things did we try and then we forgot to shut it down? You know, the free trials, and then all of a sudden they start charging you and you don't audit it. You need to audit every expense right now. That's both on business side and on your personal side. Determine what expenses are mission critical, and then cut out everything that you shouldn't be spending on, or the things you've forgotten, just like those online services or the trials, etc. Cut out anything that is a luxury expense and postpone those for at least 90 days, and then every 90 days reevaluate. Now, you want to also maintain coaches or advisors that are going to help you navigate this. So I believe, in fact, the doomsday protocols I learned from one of our coaches, and his coaching has been vital for me to set up all of the things to prepare me and my business so we can prosper, not just survive this recession. He is last on my list to discontinue that, because I don't know everything. I know what I know, but I don't know everything, and his coaching and counseling has been spectacular. So wherever you can, if something is going to help you prosper, then you want to keep that advisor or that coach. All right. Now, other things you need to do, and we're going to spend a moment on this. Other things you need to do, you need to continue making payments on accounts reported on your credit. Those are the borrower, what you normally call a credit report is technically a borrower profile. It's just the paper or document version. All of those accounts are up in the databases, and your creditors and lenders are reporting all of that information, all those borrower behaviors monthly to your profile. Just listen to me, and we'll take questions at the end. If you don't have to, do not take advantage of payment moratoriums unless it's absolute, but make it the very last thing before you do so. Here's why. Payments are not credit reporting. They may give you a payment moratorium, but you have got to check with your lender whether or not, or how those payment moratoriums are going to be reported. Some have reported that it's going to stay current, right? But you need to find, here's where I'm going to tell you, do not believe a single thing you read in the online or on the paper. You talk, unless if Chase or Wells or BB&T, whomever, sends you an email on their letterhead saying, these are the rules of engagement. Just make sure, because again, one 30-day delinquent is going to hammer your fundability over time, especially if that 30-day late has never occurred before, And now in the middle of recession, it happens. That means that's poor planning. That's rookie borrower behavior. And between you and me, we cannot afford any borrower behaviors that are going to make us unfundable. Now, here's a key. Never make a minimum payment. If you're trying to shore up your capital and preserve your cash, always pay more than the minimum payment and never the same amount. That means if you've got a minimum payment of $75, pay 76 or 79 or 81 or 77. The reason is that if the straight from FICO, if a borrower begins making a minimum payment and only a minimum payment, the message to the underwriting software says that's all you can afford. So to keep that underwriting software on its toes, you never make the same payment twice. Now, when I heard it out of their mouths, I'm like, are you kidding me? Seriously? $74 and $73 is gonna hack the algorithm? They said it's designed to measure minimum payments, but it will track constant. It's looking for a certain payment pattern, so you don't have to pay a lot more. I'm just giving you straight from FICO's mouth. The more you can pay, the better. But if you have to be near that minimum payment, do not make the minimum payment, but just mix up your payments so that the software can detect no patterns. Now, do not make a run on your credit. Automatic underwriting systems are designed to detect this. These are going to be in the forms of inquiries. But here's the thing: if you haven't been to my boot camp, or if you haven't read my book, go to getfundablebook.com, and you will find out that inquiries are graded by the type of bank you get. There's tier 1 banks, and there's all the way down to tier 4 banks. The further down the tiers you go, the more wary the software is, and it looks like you're looking for the consumer equivalent of hard money. This is no bueno. Those types of inquiries, if you're searching for those types of inquiries, I tell you, they're literally going to they're going to start lowering your current limits and or closing accounts, because it looks like you can't make your payments. So I'm telling you, and this may go against other counsel, but if you've got an asset that you can liquidate to keep your profile fundable and keep your payments going, you can always pick up a new property. You cannot just pick up a new credit profile, a new borrower profile. We earn our borrower profiles by spectacular behavior over time. And I'm telling you, you don't even get any of your fundability back for 4 years with one 30-day late. So make sure you're doing what you can to prepare for a worst case scenario, but you need to keep your personal fundability, your borrower profile in perfect shape. All right. So the second secret, we've talked a little bit about the right borrower profile and behaviors will cause lenders to automatically approve you. This is why some of you raised your hands and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, I got I was approved in 30 seconds or less," right? So when you meet lender funding guidelines, the actual underwriting software is designed to offer you loans and lines of credit without you asking. Now, there are 40 borrower behaviors that FICO measures. 10 of them measure derogatory accounts. That means there's 30 ways to overwhelm derogatory listings, derogatory impact of previous bad borrower behavior. That sounds like bad dog, right? The previous negative accounts. There are 30 ways to increase your fundability and overwhelm the negative impact of those behaviors, right? So think of it this way. borrower behaviors are what you do, how you act, and I outline them in my book and my boot camp. But the borrower behaviors are recorded on your borrower profile and then ends up as a credit report, etc. So borrower behaviors are your attitude, your beliefs, and how you treat OPM, other people's money. And software is designed to track all 4 of these behaviors. Now, those things end up on your profile. And as I said, it's over the 24-month look back period. 3-month increments, 6 months, 12 months, and 24 months. So the longer you've done a behavior, positive behavior or negative behavior, has more impact. So let me tell you about Tom. I call him Tennessee Tom. So he was banking. This is a perfect example of secret number 2. He was banking at the same bank for 7 years, right? Tellers recognized him when he made deposits. He was in Airbnb, doing Airbnb rentals, and he was depositing about $20,000 a month into various accounts, but he was never offered a credit line or a loan. So after he becomes a client and he starts implementing the protocols, right? He starts literally implementing the steps we give him. He calls me up and he says, it's a voicemail, but he's like, Merrill, what the hell is going on here? I don't understand. I've been here at this bank for 7 years, and I walked in the other day, and the branch manager came up, shook my hand. I know that's not going to happen now. Shook my hand and invited me to lunch. Now, why did that happen? Well, first of all, we taught him the things, and you can learn that in our strategies, but you can, when you implement these strategies, they're designed to be measured by the software. The software, where the rubber meets the road, where it goes from the virtual universe to the 3D real world, is that when he triggered these new underwriting positive behaviors, the software sent an email to the host branch and told the branch manager that Tom is a person of interest. The second Tom walked back in, he introduced himself, because this man now was triggering the software to improve the bank's bottom line. Well, guess what? He was also approved for $85,000 after he finished implementing these strategies. So, secret number 3. Only certain types of entities are fundable. And this one's like ironic, right? So the rule is, when you clone a qualified fundable entity, automatic underwriting software is designed to approve you. It's also designed to reject you if you don't have a fundable entity. So what do we mean by a fundable entity? Well, Carl comes in, and he was a real estate investor. And he was doing $11 million for the last couple of years. And he goes in, and before he came to us, he goes in to apply as a real estate investor. And with all of this money, full doc, full everything, they only offered him a minimum credit line. And he was like, why? Well, here's what happens. And take a screenshot of this one. If your company name or the purpose of your business, as registered in the Secretary of State or Department of Corporations, if any of these words, among others, but any of these words are in that name or in your business purpose, you're going to get a denial for unsecured and stated income business lines of credit. Why? Because each one of these words triggers a denial, because they are suspect companies. So let me walk through this. I went to Chase. It was probably a couple of months now. We opened up a new business account, and the banker was sitting there, and she started asking me questions. What exactly do you do? What's the name of the company? And what exactly do you do? And deeper and deeper and deeper. Any of you get one of those kind of, it's like the Inquisition, right? It feels like, what? Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I recognized she's looking for keywords so she can assign what's called a SIC code or an NAICS code. These codes are assigned to you behind your back generally by either the state Secretary of State, Division of Corporations, or by your lender when you fill out an application or when you start a checking account. And many codes are not fundable. Real estate is one of them. Credit is one of them. I had a gym, an owner of 5 gym facilities, was completely unfundable. So there are numerous. These are the big ones because they demonstrate to a lender that your business is what they call high risk. Just like Carl, he walked in with a real estate in his name and in his business purpose, and regardless of his documents, regardless of his accounts, he was approved, but for a low test approval. Now, here's so all 3 of these secrets, guys, are designed. If we fulfill the requirements of them, they're designed to let us leverage what I call the slingshot effect. Recessions are spectacular if they are navigated the right way, right? Now, I call it the slingshot effect because what you're looking at is it appears you're going backwards, right? It appears you're going backwards. And the further backwards you go, you create greater tension. And the second you release, the greater the tension, the greater the velocity and the distance of the stone or whatever you're shooting. The slingshot effect is exactly what is happening now. The more you do now to preserve your personal borrower profile, to preserve your credit, to preserve your relationship with your lenders, the longer and farther your funding is going to, when this is all over, is going to be. Why? Because lenders get that when you prioritize your relationship with them, then they can trust you with higher limits and more approvals because they know, especially this environment, this is already being cast as worse than 2008. And if you behave in a way that supports your relationship and your partnership with your lenders, they're going to treat you awesome when we recover from this, because they know that in the worst situation possible, you had their back. So guess what? They're going to trust you with more and more and more money. That slingshot is no joke, guys. So do everything in your power to be able to create and support your relationships with your lenders. Whew. Pretty cool, right? Anybody like what we're talking about? Let me see hands. I would love to see hands if this is it's striking your fancy, right? Yes. We got. Oh, now I got to put on my glasses. Rick, we got Rick, Patrice, Alan, Gloria, Michael, Shams, Joseph, Christina. Cool, right? Well, the only thing is, we just never knew this stuff. So I want you to tell me something. If you were able to do what I'm teaching you, if you could implement your doomsday protocols so you could set your priorities, and if you could align your borrower behavior and profile with lender approval guidelines, and you could clone a highly fundable business entity that lenders wanted to lend to, do you think you could be successful? Anybody? I like I'm looking over here. Anybody? That's awesome, right? This is awesome. Now imagine, what would another 200 grand or more, so you could write a check and do a deal, what would that do for you? How would that change your life, right? How would you like to have come into this recession with 200,000 or 300,000 in credit lines, business credit lines, not credit cards or credit card stacking, credit lines, so that you could actually take advantage of some of the fire sales of some of the people who need to follow my advice and liquidate an asset so they can maintain their fundability. And you're there to pick it up. How would that change your life? Anybody? Would that be groovy? So how many of you are excited about what we're talking about? Now, I love this picture because yes. How many of you feel just a little overwhelmed? Because I have been accused of being a fire hose. So I was just wondering, how many of you feel just a little bit, you're like, okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? So if it's okay with you, I'd like to spend just a few more minutes and give you an offer that I have provided to real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and tell you exactly how to implement this recession-proof formula. All right? Is that okay? I want to see hands. Is it okay if I spend a little time? Because I can just shut down right now if we want.
Yes.
Right. So here we go. So I'm offering a 2-day Get Fundable boot camp. Oh, by the way, we offer these boot camps streaming live, and it's going to be hosted by yours truly. Me, myself, and I, the three of us are going to present this live. All right, and I'll show you what those registration dates are in just a moment. But here's the thing. This has worked for beginning real estate investors and other entrepreneurs. It's worked for people who are established real estate investors but want more money to do more deals, right? Investors with bad credit, or if you have good credit, or even great, what you believe is great credit, this is for you. It works for you. If you have a qualified investors who have a qualified fundable entity already, most of us do not, but I'm just sweeping the decks here. And those of you who need a qualified fundable entity. Now, here's what you can stop doing at the end of this boot camp. Having lenders reduce your limits or close your accounts. Actually, have deals slip through your fingers because you can't execute. You don't have the funds or the resources to write a check and do a deal. And what about the uncertainty and stress you're feeling just because these are uncertain times? Some of us don't even look for funding because we don't believe, we're not confident that we're going to get approved. You can stop doing all of that. Now, you can stop chasing money and also stop getting blacklisted by lenders. The second you start spinning out, guys, you start chasing, they trigger you. And you trigger their underwriting and they will blacklist you for 12 to 24 months. Okay. So you stop paying body part pricing for interest on hard money loans. Paying an arm and a leg, I like to call it body part pricing. You can stop sharing profits with private money and credit partners, or you'll have the resources to put more skin in the game if you do decide to use hard money or private money. All right. Now, let me go through exactly what you're going to get in this Get Fundable boot camp. Day one, we're going to be talking about qualified borrower and business fundability. So we're going to revitalize your borrower golden goose so you can be awarded with funding golden eggs. Now, what the hell am I talking about, right? Here's what I mean. Your personal profile, that borrower profile, I said protect at all costs, is the golden goose. And when you do the right things and your borrower behaviors are all dialed in for the right, and you're doing the right things for that 3, 6, 12, and 24 months, it will lay golden eggs when you go to apply for business credit cards, business credit lines, business loans, and even hard money loans. The better the more healthy and vital your golden goose of a borrower profile, you will be able to receive these golden eggs. And as long as your goose is healthy, they will continue to lay and lay and lay these golden eggs. All right. Day one, we're going to talk about implementing the right borrower and business identities to trigger higher approvals. But you don't even know that the single most influential to new approvals is your identity, both and how it relates to your personal and your borrower identities. We're going to transform a rookie profile, your consumer profile, into a professional borrower profile. There is a way to play the funding game like a pro, and you're going to learn everything you need to do just that. Also, I'm going to show you how to use the velocity of personal optimization, optimizing your personal borrower profile to cut your business funding time in half. All of this just as part of your day. And then we're going to implement strategies that will cause your lenders to give new approvals or raise limits now. How's that sound? That's day one. Anybody? Is that groovy? All right. So there we go. Thanks, Joseph, Steve. All right. So now, if you were to go to my website right now, getfundable.com, and you were to purchase these different things recorded, not me live, answering your questions, it's worth $1,997. And if it could open lender pockets and deliver you $100, $200, $500 or more $1,000, would that be worth it? I want to see hands. Right? No, it's definitely worth it, right? Absolutely. Steve, Shalaya, Jason, absolutely. All right. Now, let's go to day two. Now, all of you know you can't be in a seminar environment and use the word guarantee without backing that up, right? So what do I mean by guaranteeing business funding approvals? Here's the thing. Lender underwriting software and FICO measurements is math. So in this universe, 2 + 2 is 4, period. When you add 2 and 2, you get 4 every single time. I'm telling you, if you align your borrower behaviors with lender guidelines, you get approved, period. There is no, I can say the word guarantee all day. All right. So let's look at what we learned on day two. First of all, you're going to learn how to vet a business credit offer so that you can avoid the fake ones. And I'm telling you, I'll give you a freebie. How many of you have a Spark business card from Capital One? All right. Don't raise your hands. Don't raise your hands. Here's the thing. As many of you know, your Spark card reports to your personal profile. That means when you think you're being a good business person and you're charging making charges to your Spark business card, you're actually harming your personal profile because your score goes down and your fundability goes down every time you charge it up, right? And real estate investors, note buyers, all of us entrepreneurs, we use our business seriously. And just so you know, there are numerous fake credit offers. I'm going to show you how to know how to vet them, find the right ones so that your business credit only reports to your business profile and never to your personal. Would that be a cool thing to know, guys? Would that be a cool thing to know? Totally, Joseph. Absolutely. So here's what we want to do, Mike. You guys get this. You totally get this. So we're going to implement insider FICO business funding secrets for higher approvals. When you know that ramp up, right? The 24-month look back period, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. If you know how to shorten that curve, we can hit higher funding approvals faster. It's just math. You just got to know, and we're going to be covering it all. I'm going to show you how to develop that qualified fundable entity so that you get that automatic underwriting 2-minute approval. Because if you have a fundable entity, it's got to be one that lenders trust to dump money into. And that's how we're going to discuss every whit how to implement that. We're also going to do a forensic audit on your current fundability right now. How fundable are you right now, right? We're going to perform this audit. We're going to examine your funding approval factors, where you stand when it comes to lender evaluation. We're going to review your borrower profile. What kind of cards are contributing, the high value cards that are contributing to your profile? which low value cards are actually detrimental and causing your fundability to plummet. We're going to look at your actual business and see how it is set up so that you can receive funds and a lender will trust to give funds. Every single one of these details are being outlined. And we can even estimate your timetable to funding, first 50, first 100, first $200,000. But we can't know that until we do this fundability audit, right? So day 2, if you go to my website, every single one of day 2, buying the recordings with no questions and answers is worth $1,997 for day 2, for a total of $3,994. Worth it? If you can pick up $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, guys, from multiple lenders, I want to see hands. Is that worth it? Because if it's not worth it, then there's no point. You just take what you got today, and we'll all do the very best that we can. Rick believes so. Absolutely. AG, who else? Anybody else? Jason. Yes, it's worth it. But here's the thing. We're all stuck at home. We're all either sequestered, may soon be sequestered, and we're trying to do the best we very can. So I'm going to offer these 2 days for, what do you say if we did it for $97? I want to see hands. Is that all right? Would that be okay with you if I only charge $97? There we go, Tommy. And well, there we go. I'm blind. Alan, D, Shams, Thomas, Gary, absolutely, $97. Now, I sat there and I'm like, okay, that's for the day. Then I said, what could we do to give even more so that you could implement faster and easier and even be able to do a deeper dive, right? So for a gold event pass, I decided to add lender and credit bureau insider playbooks. What if you knew even the very words that were going to come out of the mouth of the lender when you submit an application? What if you had their next play and you knew that? So in playbooks, advanced strategy, accuracy audits, and dispute templates. Everything we're talking about is about data points, and we need to audit and reconcile your data points so that you're highly fundable. You'll get all of that. Complete library of Get Fundable Bootcamp video recordings. There are 14 video boot camps in this library. All of that comes to you in the Gold Event Pass, and lifetime access to the Funding Hackers Solutions private Facebook group. And you guys, ask any of my funding hackers. They are nearly every day we're throwing in content and keeping everybody updated of what to do and how to do it in this process. All of that is for $197 plus $29 a month for every month that you want to be part of the Funding Hackers group and have access to all the video recordings. So that is for my folks who are want to do a deeper dive and get more value out of this. Now, I asked, what is there? Is there another way that I can create the value? If I can over deliver and actually give you implementable strategies. I mean, literally custom coaching. So, bonus number 5. If you get the Platinum Event Pass, I will give you a personal strategy session with me myself. This comes at $497 plus the regular $29 a month, because you get everything else, plus you get an individualized strategy session with me. How to customize all the things we learned in the 2 days to your situation. Now, here's what's crazy. I'm making an offer. Is it okay if I just keep throwing stuff on top of this amazing offer? If you're not happy with me or what you learned or my plan for your funding success by the end of day 1 of the boot camp, I will give you 100% of your money back. No questions asked. I have a spectacular reputation among my students, my clients, my partners, and our referral partners, and among the regulatory agencies. I want you to be able to try this out. Now, If you do want a money back, I'm not going to let you have access to Sunday, but there you go. So all I'm saying is it worth gambling one day to see how close you can get to funding and how to protect these instead of survival strategies, thriving strategies to get you fundable, and so that we can create that slingshot effect, do it all in the time where it means the most. Every behavior you do right now with your lenders, it means 5 or 10 times what it does when there's not stress. So is it worth it to spend one day with me to do this? There it is right now. I'm hosting the live streaming event. It will be April 18th and 19th. And if you can't make that date, as it said before, if you can't make that date, then you will be able to transfer your pass to the next event. We do them almost monthly. So now is the time to find out how to get this, how to create fundability during this time so that we don't just survive, but we thrive, and we can protect our the most important asset we have, your borrower profile and your borrower behaviors. So I'm all yours. We got some questions there. I'm all yours, guys. There's the information. Go to getfundablebootcamp.com and you will find the pricing. And let's make sure that all of that is ready to go. You can also reach out by phone or by email to bootcamp@getfundable.com. Any questions?
Yes, we got a couple questions, Merrill. And I think we'll just start with this first one here. Nancy asked, can your business be under a sole proprietorship, or do you have to have an entity like an LLC?
Yes, that's a great question. A sole proprietor is considered by lenders as an alter ego. It's just a DBA for your person. They want a container that is separate from you to put their money in. So yes, it has to be. We prefer LLCs, but if you're a single shareholder INC, then you qualify as well. Next.
Joseph asked a question. Does making extra small credit card payments during the month help you image with a lender?
In the boot camp, we're going to talk about 2 payments. You can make additional payments, but besides these 2 payments, you're triggering certain funding criteria that are listed by the lender software. So multiple 2, 3, 4 do not help more or less. It doesn't count against you. It doesn't count for you. But there are 2 dates that you have to trigger positively for them to notice. And we discuss exactly how to do all of that in the boot camp. Great question.
Good stuff. Somebody asked the question here. If you take advantage of some of the CARES bill that was just approved this week, if your current lenders may begin to profile you differently, i.e. if you put a student loan program on hold for a few months, skipping a few mortgage payments with approval, et cetera, is it worth taking advantage of the coronavirus temporary relief if available, or will lenders then profile you and credit score suffers?
Yes, as I said, the more you can show up now, the better your fundings are going to be when we all recover. And this is no joke. It's that slingshot effect. So yes, you can take advantage of those, and and if you ask the lender and they affirm it, they may show current. But now you're not scoring any points with them. You're just taking advantage of the offer. So as I said a moment ago, it is vital that you, as a last resort, take advantage of those, because the lenders are watching and they're going to see how you treat their money. Remember, your payments, guys, be very clear about this. We deep dive on this in the boot camp. You have their money. It's not your money. So just because the government says it's okay and the lenders have affirmed that you're not going to get a ding on your credit report, doesn't mean that it is lender It's that it's improving your relationship with the lender. They will take this stuff seriously. And the algorithms, FICO, they have an entire recession prep a seminar for lenders. I took the class, and they will see your behavior during this time, and they will mark it against you. So that is a long answer to a short question.
Shekinah asks, can I start a new LLC and still utilize your program?
A new LLC?
Yes.
Yes. And there are varying degrees. Remember that 3, 6, 12, and 24-month look-back period. Each one of those have the ability, each one of those are have various versions of fundability. So in the first 3 months, you can get a credit card. For 6 to 12 months, you can get a business loan. Usually many lenders want that 12 or minimum 24 months to give you what is they consider their most precious credit instrument, which is the credit line. We call them trophy lines because it's what it's the trophy you win for playing the credit game like a master. So those are so yes, the second you open it up, the more business relationship building things you do, the better for you as well. All right.
What about taking advantage of 0% auto loans? Will that affect you?
No, because currently 0% auto loans are a thing now. So opting into a 0% auto loan does not harm you. Remember, the lenders, it's not that the lenders are measuring the interest rate per se. They're looking for you to take advantage of the circumstances to your benefit, but not the lender's benefit. And this is a partnership, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, if we don't treat it like a partnership, then we're not going to be fundable, and we're certainly not going to be able to prosper in these times. So,
does somebody need to wait 2 years to be in business before they work on their business credit?
No, you can start business credit immediately upon the acquisition of it, like a new LLC or single owner Inc. You don't have to wait. There are varying levels of fundability as you pass through the 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and 24 months. So yeah, you do not have to wait at all. Okay. So any other questions?
Yes. Will collecting unemployment put a ding on your credit?
Collecting unemployment, no, as long as you're making your payments. So no, there is no ding if as long as you're paid as agreed means just that. So also one of the things, guys, do not believe any offer that says, hey, we're going to consolidate your bills during this time, and what they're going to do is negotiate lower payments, but those lower payments are not paid as agreed, and you will be doing the equivalent of an equivalent of a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. That's how it will hit your profile. So be very, very careful about. Now, again, we call it a soft landing. And go to the boot camp. We will be able to, it is the greatest investment of, our most popular is 197, so you can do a deep dive and keep watching more and more, right? But I'm telling you right now, if you can, we will teach you what we call a soft landing. And a soft landing basically shows you the priorities. If you have to constrict and contract and contract and contract, we will show you the priorities to maintain the best fundability and the best bounce back time, the way lenders are going to be looking at you. So so if you're doing well, let's grow and expand. If you're contracting, let's find out what choices to make so that we can make that, so that we can not take a total credit dive with your fundability. Okay.
What would you recommend for somebody who's got an LLC with the bad names, the naughty names, on how to correct that, Merrill?
Yeah. The boot camp literally shows you what to do, websites, and how to update all of those names. You do not have to. It varies by state. That's why we want to discuss it. But you don't have to start a new company. You don't lose anything. It's just you just have to do it right, and that's why. And by the way, you get like there's 650 slides to my boot camp, and there are it turns that ends up in your student manual, all 650 slides about how it's wonderful.
I'll get a question here. Do you have a program for individuals who are just trying to improve their credit score? Do you have to have a business to benefit from this program? No. The first day is all about your personal credit and improving that. The second day is about diving into business, but they build up on each other. So I've been through the boot camp a couple times. I jump on there all the time. It's phenomenal helping boost your credit score on your personal stuff on the first day, right, Merrill?
Yes. First day. In fact, the first day and leading into the second day is about personal, because as we said, 80% of each business lending decision is based on your personal profile. So if you don't have a business, you still need to build and optimize your fundability, because that's the diving board. That's what allows you to, even later, 2 or 3 years from now, 5 years from now, you will have a bulletproof personal profile and fundability. You'll have been performing all the borrower behaviors that'll make it easy for you to leverage a business financing later.
Right. If you start with the 197 program, can you upgrade to the 497?
Yes, there is you can do that. I'm sorry. You can bump from 97 to 197, but this is the only time that I'm taking reservations to meet with me. At the boot camp, you cannot register from 97 or 197 to the 497 platinum. We do it now or we don't do it, because my schedule is
it's full.
Even more tight now that I'm on Facebook Lives and coaching clients on how to implement their recession-proof strategies. Right. So this is the time. I'm happy to meet with you, but we got to do that. We need to know who's coming to the boot camp, where I'm going to be meeting with you afterwards.
Yeah, and pre-schedule it, because your schedule does fill up during the 2 days. Patrice asked a question: when you apply for your first line of credit, it should be in your personal or business name, or it depends?
Oh, it's always your personal line of credit. You don't want personal lines of credit, because using it in your business will then ruin causes this, and lenders don't like this on your personal profile. It has to be a business line of credit, and if you're getting a business line of credit, you have to be personally fundable, and then you have to have a fundable business for lenders to pour that money into. Otherwise, both those things are required to make it work. I hope I answer your question.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Go ahead.
If you have frozen credit with the credit bureaus, how does that affect?
If it's frozen, we'll instruct you how to unfreeze them, and then do the fundability strategies while you are in unfrozen. And then if you want to freeze it again, then you can add it.
Okay.
You can add the freeze back, but we have to optimize while in an unfrozen state, because lenders, by the way, you're not fundable if you're in a frozen state, or your credit profile is frozen, because they don't want to do manual underwriting. The whole point of our exercise, guys, is to create automatic underwriting, hit those guidelines, and get automatic approvals without requiring a human being to look at it.
Mm-hmm. Can you revive a dissolved LLC, or is there an advantage to just opening a new LLC?
Well, it depends. You can, but there are certain structures you got to go through. But yes, there's not a problem in using a revived one. Usually you have to pay the back taxes and fees to your state. But once that's up and going, there's no difference or otherwise. We just have there are considerations to that, because if it's been dead for 5 years and you're bringing it back up, lender underwriters look at, and you get kicked into manual underwriting. Lender underwriters will look at the age of the entity and what you have been, the age of the entity, and what you've been, and why you're reactivating it, and then all of a sudden getting all active, right? So there's certain things we got to look at on your particular case, etc. But yes, I have reactivated clients or students, or help them, coach them on how to reactivate. It works just fine.
Cool. My C Corp Paydex is 800 2 months ago. Can I start applying for credit cards and business loans, or do I have to wait 6 months?
Okay, it's 80 or 800. A Paydex
800.
Yeah, your Paydex only goes to 100. So if it's 80, then that's awesome. But lenders are not. See, this is one of those things that Scott told you we're going to literally break through the myths.
Yep.
They're not going to use your Paydex score to approve business credit. They're going to look and evaluate at your personal profile, and 80% of the lending decisions based on your personal, only 20% is based on the contents of your business credit profiles. And they're mostly identifying the identity pieces of your business and the codes associated with your business, not your Paydex score. Okay. So again, these are vital. It's worth $100 just to find out what's meaningful and what's not meaningful, because you've been led to believe, you've been sold stuff that FICO, who does the approval software, straight to my face said, yeah, 80% of the approval is based on your personal profile. 20% is about the borrower data points and the fundability of the entity, not its credit score. Okay, not its the DMB score.
Right. If somebody's got a nearly maxed out HELOC for a couple of years, that's definitely affecting their credit direct as well too, isn't it?
Yeah, good news on that. FICO also told me in answer to that direct question, is that because it's real estate secured, that real estate backed
lines of credit,
HELOCs, don't move the needle as much as the same amount that's unsecured. So it only moves the needle 10%, positive or negative. So if you've had a couple of years where it's tapped out, I see clients all the time with 90% tapped out on a HELOC, and they're still fundable and above 800. So again, we've got to learn what does move the needle and implement those strategies. But you are not harmed. It's not helping. You could be more fundable, but it's not harming future fundings because of that HELOC.
Mm-hmm. How soon can a person bounce back after bankruptcy?
Again, it depends on the credit instrument that you're looking for. Automobiles within 3 months, but they're going to be higher interest rates, but automobiles usually within 3 months. Secured credit cards could be up to a year after bankruptcy, and then they can become unsecured if you do the right ones. Do not go get the premier Credit One. Come to the boot camp. I'm going to give you a list of all the tier 4 lenders that are literally predatory lenders. They are subprime lenders. FICO gives you a negative indicator and drops your score for having anything in the tier 4 category as a lender. And you think you're being a good borrower and trying to get back in the game, and you're ruining your future chances of getting high value credit cards later. It's a minefield, guys. Come, just find out.
Just get signed up for the boot camp, right, Merrill?
Yes, sign up for the boot camp and I'll answer all your questions.
Great.
Thank you, awesome. Scott. Love you guys. Godspeed. Be safe, everyone out there.